I'm joined today by Mark Creaser and Siam Kidd, Chief Executive Officer and Chief Strategy Officer of Astrid Intelligence. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks
Absolute
for having
pleasure.
us.
Thanks for having us.
So, to start with, perhaps you can give listeners a high-level overview of Astrid, please.
Whew.
Go for it.
High level overview of Astrid. So Simon and I joined the Astrid team at the end of last year. So we are probably just about finishing getting our feet under the table. And Astrid has been, how do you describe it? Empty vessel you use, Siam?
Yeah, when I was doing the DD, it seemed like an empty ship, no engine, no crew, no customers, no destination, and it was like a vessel that just jumped from one fad to the next. So
Yeah. So
basically, it's a distressed business from my
yeah,
perspective.
it hasn't really had I think it's fair to say, a clear strategy and direction for some time.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that the idea with dropping the two of us in is there's the team, and the team comes with the strategy. So that is where we've come from in terms of who we are. Over a couple of decades now, I've worked with a lot of small businesses to help them to grow and to get clients and to communicate better. I guess that probably marketing and communications are my core competencies. I have worked for others. I have grown my own businesses, and in the last 12 months, I have worked with Siam, and we've built up a hedge fund doing the exact thing that we're going to be doing with Astrid. But we didn't work together before that, did we?
No, no, not
What
at
were you
all.
doing then?
I've spent years doing mergers and acquisitions with distressed businesses. So yeah, Astrid is just another project really that we can help turn around. And I've built and sold a bunch of businesses. So last year, or end of 2023, I sold a business for 8 figures. So yeah, Mark and I we're versed in the business scene.
Well, you're
Here
very
we are.
active on you're very active on social media. You've got quite a following from the Bittensor side. Would you now describe yourself as sort of a Bittensor maxi, if that is that a word? I don't know.
I guess so. No, I base my reality on first principle thinking. And when you're looking at, let's say, currency, you want a currency which isn't going to be debased forever, which is
Mm,
why, I very much like Bitcoin. And then when you look at where the world is going, it's AI. That like AI is humans' last invention, and therefore it's logical to look for a decentralized AI ecosystem, because decentralized solutions typically beat centralized solutions.
mm.
And yeah, BitTensor is the only game in town in that arena.
Well, you mentioned Bittensor there, but actually for viewers, what is Bittensor?
It's a hard one. It's like trying to explain the internet to someone in the mid 90s.
Mm,
And the internet has completely changed the world that we know, and it still is changing. So the easiest way to understand it is if you imagine Google. Google is a big umbrella company. It has hundreds of companies underneath it, from YouTube to Google Maps to DeepMind, etc. And if you want to get at the upside of Google, you just buy their token, Goog,
mm,
Goog, on the stock market. BitTense is the same. It's a big umbrella company, and underneath it has 128 independent AI startups, all doing completely different things. And if the gross value capture vessel, the token is called Tau,
mm.
TAO. So you can either buy Tau and treat that like the S&P 500 of decentralized AI, or you can go in and buy the actual the tokens. So those independent AI startups underneath the umbrella, they're called subnets, and each subnet has its own token. But you can only buy those tokens by swapping it with Tau.
Right.
So that's the
And
quick
those,
explanation.
yeah, okay. And those tokens, they're like known as alpha tokens, aren't they? So so it's like me, for example, saying I want to go invest in one of the subnet, I'd have to buy an alpha token, and my route into doing that is via Tau, right? And my route out is via Tau.
Yep, you buy Tau, you swap the Tau for that subnet token, and then if you want to go back to cash like Sterling, you do the complete reverse.
Mm.
Yeah, and the beauty of that linkage there is that all it takes is one subnet to break out and start making millions of dollars per month in revenue, etc. And it drags the price of Tau up with it because the more eyeballs that super subnet gets, people have to buy Tau to get exposure and upside
Mm.
to that subnet.
Yeah,
And
and
then
also the potential FOMO of other subnets that people think well actually might do that as well, which is not dissimilar to penny stocks in a way, I suppose.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good high level overview of Bittensor. I know we could probably talk for an hour on Bittensor, and I know that you've put out some good videos and things on your socials, explaining in more detail what Bittensor is, because there's quite a lot to it, and it's quite hard for Joe Blogg's investor to understand. It took me a long time to get my head around it, and I'm still sure there's an awful lot I could learn about it. But I guess the burning question here is that how is Astrid going to make money from Bittensor?
Go for him
It's
up.
a good question. I'm just going to add a little bit onto what you just said, Darren, which is that not a lot of people do know a huge amount about Bittensor, and it's so new that there's no books that you can read on it. There's not a lot that is up to date. When you are in the ecosystem, we're so early in this ecosystem that hardly anybody knows about it. There's not much you can read about it. There's certainly not much that's accurate about it that's published, I find.
Mm,
Lots of people don't understand it. We're really fortunate to have Siam, who understands it better than almost anybody I know. We're on a lot of calls together. He has a tremendous understanding of Bittensor and how it operates. And that brings us nicely into how we're going to make money from Bittensor as Astrid.
mm.
And what we're going to do is, if you imagine this entire ecosystem has a lot of moving parts, as capital flows around that ecosystem, there are lots of opportunities to make money, to make profit. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to plug ourselves in to the ecosystem in a number of different places to make revenue, to generate revenue in all sorts of different ways. So one of the first things that we have done, and we'll talk more about, is forging partnerships with some of the subnets, some of those businesses that are operating within the ecosystem. We have partnered with those guys to offer them support, help, capital, and as part of that, as those businesses, as those subnets move on up and succeed, so revenue will flow back to Astrid. But that's not the only way that we will make money from Bittensor. Simon, do you want to pick one up?
Well, can I just quickly ask, would those if you're say taking a position in say some of those subnets, are you the deals that you're doing, and I'm sure that you're going to probably announce some of those deals via RNS at some point in the future, but those deals you're doing, is the could the deal structure be such that you're buying their alpha and then their alpha is going to go up and you're making money that way, or could you hook into some of their revenue? So could you get like a royalty on some of the revenue for supporting them?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 So with the so Simon and I have been working in this ecosystem since February last year, which was the first time that any investor could invest directly into subnets. So we've got as much experience in this space as anybody else, and I would suggest that we've actually done more deals in this space than anybody else has. And when we started doing deals last year, we really had to kind of twist arms to make those deals happen. As 2025 progressed and our stature, our credibility in the space uh, increased, and trust in us strengthened, because it's not unusual in this PLC world, but in crypto, there's a lot of people that aren't fully doxed, which means that no one really knows who they are. They won't show you their face. You don't know where they live. And Simon and I are very, very upfront and transparent about who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that trust becomes a very, very important factor. So as 2025 progressed, we found ourselves in a position where opportunities came to us. People who wanted a partner, who wanted investment, who wanted advice, they would flow in our direction, which meant that we could be increasingly creative with how we pulled partnerships together. So the answer to your question of do we make money
Mm.
this way or this way is we make money in all sorts of different ways, depending on who we are partnering with, what their objectives are, what needs to go in, what needs to happen, whether they are drawing on capital and investment, or whether they are drawing on expertise and consultancy, whether it's a
Mm.
combination of the two, whether it is a well-established project that it isn't going to dramatically change in value, or whether it's a brand new project that is at a penny stock price. So every deal that we do is different, but we try and approach them all flexibly and creatively.
Okay, so
Should
there's
I?
a yeah, sorry, yeah, carry on.
Sorry, Darren. I was thinking, shall I just go into like the four main areas of what Astrid will be doing in terms of how we're going to make profit and whatnot? Because I think that'll demystify it a
Yeah, I
little
think
bit.
that would be useful
Yeah,
because we don't know what the other three are because we know that you've got this potential hook into the ecosystem and your expertise means that you can probably find the subnets that are going to perform and return money, return value. But we don't know, for example, what you're doing with your subnet and you've
yeah,
got AI developments yourself ongoing as well on subnet 127 itself. If you look at other subnets like say shoots, ridges, they're all up there, higher capped, very successful, and perhaps you've got plans to get 127 up to say the top 10 or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, we have Astrid Accelerator. So that's basically what Mark was on about. So just like with that Google umbrella we're talking about, it's
Mm,
like trying being able to buy into YouTube, just as it's, IPOing, let's say. So we're incubating brand new teams and then buying subnet slots and putting teams in place there. So it's like a Y Combinator. And with that, we own, let's call it chunks or equity within those subnets. And each subnet gets what's called an owner key emission. So it's like getting a chunk, a small chunk of their emissions as well. So that's Astrid Accelerator. The second one, which is in no particular order, we have Astrid Arena. So this is creating a competitive arena where we are getting the Bittensor ecosystem to come up to build the best AI trading algorithms. So they'll be pitted against each other. The winner takes all in terms of the best algo gets the rewards, and then eventually we'll have an algo, a trading algorithm, which it can beat the human benchmark, which is DSV fund, our hedge fund.
mm,
And then we can start backing that bot, so to speak. And the beauty of BitTensor is that it doesn't just stop there. Once it's good, it'll keep on innovating and self-improving.
mm,
So that's Accelerator Arena. We then have the Vault. So because we're doing lots of mergers and acquisitions, and we're buying and also building AI infrastructure within BitTensor, it means as a lovely byproduct, we're going to be smothered with lots of subnet tokens across the whole ecosystem, not just our own Astrid subnet token, but many others. So we need somewhere to put that. So we're creating this vault, and that way we can play the long or the medium to long term game because there's a very high sort of APY just by holding on to these subnet tokens. So we're
mm.
not a DAT. We're definitely an operating company and not an investment company. But we have this vault there, and that has some sort of AI infrastructure to uh, a- attract more subnet tokens at discount. And then
Yeah,
we
the
have,
AI infrastructure values the subnet token.
yeah, and then we have Astrid Validator. So with AI, you have to imagine BitTensor or the decentralized AI world as like a school. And when a subnet sets up their subnet and they issue the challenge that everyone wants them to solve, the miners, the people who are doing the AI,
Mm.
the work, you need to see whether it's someone in India just putting random inputs in or results, or it's actually AI. So you then have validators in every subnet, and the validators are like the school teachers. So the subnet owner is the headmaster, they own the
Mm.
school. The validators are the teachers with the cheat sheets, and they're marking all the students, i.e., the minors. So what we'll be doing is building up infrastructure, so validator infrastructure in not every subnet, but many different subnets. And by doing so, it gives us insights into each of the subnets because if you're validating a particular subnet, you have um, deeper access to what that subnet is doing. So again, it's like Google saying, "Hey, Astrid, we need you to verify that YouTube algorithm is doing all right." And so that by doing so, we then have insight into the YouTube algorithm, and then you can do other things off that. And we've in the process of acquiring something else, which we can't share just yet. We have to RNS that first. But
Okay.
so far, we've got five, say, arrows in our quiver,
Mm.
but there will be more.
But taking Astrid Arena there, so you said about this trading algorithm that could be the human benchmark. Um, when that's a complete and finished, do you like the revenue generation from that? Would it be something like, for example, you'd make that available online via a web page to for people to come in and pay a subscription fee for, or you're actually thinking of actually keeping that IP? And Astrid used that to make money. I don't know. I mean, because there's two potentials there, isn't there, for the end
Yeah.
game?
So I've been trading for about 22 years, 21, 22 years now, and I've come across probably hundreds and hundreds of bots. They never work.
Mm.
They just never work.
No.
And it's only now we've got this coalescence, this amalgamation of different techs all sort of focusing into one thing. So if there's any time where a trading algorithm could work, it's now within Bittensor because historically you're up against investment banks that have plowed hundreds of millions of dollars into
Mm.
quants to making all their trading algorithms. But now it really is a possibility. So at the moment, the plans are to get that trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets outside of Bittensor. And the profits from that will then use to buy back our own subnet token. And so that will help support the subnet token price. Whether we license it out, I'm not sure because you then have a diminishing edge. So
Mm.
any trading algorithm, like, to be profitable on the markets via trading, you need a positive expectancy. And if you have let's say a magic black box with a bunch of strategies,
Mm.
you may have positive expectancy when it's only you exercising it, but if 1,000 other people, your positive expectancy diminishes somewhat, or your
Mm.
variance may increase. So at the moment, no, we'd like to just back the truck up behind it, and with Astrid's capital, once
Yeah.
we've got something working.
Okay. Well, it's hugely fascinating, and I think it would be worth doing some individual chats on some of the products that you're developing at some point in the future when there's more clarification on them and when they're deployed. What does the next year look like for Astrid then? What are you hoping to achieve, and how could that translate into an increase in the company's valuation? Because I mean, you're only capped at 7.5 million at the moment. Um, what are the plans?
Well, again, I mean, I'm making a habit of doing this, but let's tie back in the that last question. You're talking about how we're going to use the subnet. The beauty of the subnet is it comes with something called an incentive mechanism, and it's the incentive mechanism that is really the core of the power of BitTensor. It's the world's best mechanism for getting as many people as you possibly can, getting all the right brains to solving the right solution. And that sits at the heart of BitTensor. And once you've spent a bit of time in BitTensor, your entire worldview pivots to what's the incentive, or indeed what's the disincentive. So your question here about what the next year looks like for Astrid, well, for me and Siam, our incentive is to grow this business and take it to places that we know that it can get to, and our incentive is the package that we're on that was published in that first RNS. We need to get the share price back to the price of the last raise, and then start working beyond that. So what you've got with us is a couple of guys who are familiar with the work that they are doing, and we've had 12 months of experience of doing this before we uh, took our seats on the Astrid team, so we know what we're doing. The incentive is right. We are aligned with shareholders. We want to grow this business. We want to make the most of this opportunity, and we believe that Bittensor is the most compelling opportunity for anybody right now to invest in and to be part of. And we're waking up every single day, working out how we can make more, how we can go faster, how we can bring the team with us and bring more people with us, and grow Astrid and realize its potential in this ecosystem.
Hmm. Okay, well, it sounds like an exciting new chapter for the company. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Let's catch up again in the future, perhaps when you've got some news coming on some of those deals or other developments.
Would love to.
Sounds good. Thanks, Darren. Thanks for
Okay,
having us.
all right.
Appreciate it.